This is State Representative Robert Martwick, and I'm coming to you from the gallery of the Illinois House of Representatives chamber here in Springfield, Illinois. We just finished our first week of Veto Session. So a little Civics 101 lesson. What happens in session is that we start in January and through May, and this year, June and July and August. But typically by the end of the May, we pass all of the bills in our regular session. And then the governor has a period of time in which he can either sign those bills and they become laws, or issue vetoes to those bills. And then we come back for 2 weeks to take up votes on the bills that he vetoed. And the governor vetoed a lot of bills. So this was the first week of a 2-week of veto session. And it was an active week. We took up a lot of votes on a lot of pieces of legislation that the governor had vetoed, and we overturned a great deal of those. And so I want to give you an update on what we did here this week. So the bill that's most important to me, and I'm going to talk about it in a little bit, I'll talk about it now, is my bill that changed the way life insurance companies operate when the policyholder that they've sold a policy to dies. And so this was a bill that the governor had vetoed. What did our bill do? It said that it tried to correct a practice, and the practice was that insurance companies, life insurance companies, would sell policies promising to take care of the loved ones of the policyholder if that policyholder should die. But instead their practice was actually to deny payment of benefits unless the beneficiaries knew to come forth and claim them. Well, a lot of times life insurance policies, a lot of people buy life insurance policies, a lot of people expect the benefits to get paid, but beneficiaries don't know, they don't have the information always to come forward for a lot of reasons. And insurance companies would wrongly hang on to this. And so what we did was we passed a law that will allow the state treasurer to go back, audit insurance companies' records back to the year 2000, and any policy in which a policyholder died or beneficiaries have not been identified, we get to go look for them and try and get that money to them and get it out of the hands of the insurance companies and into the hands of widows and orphans who were entitled to get it long ago. So this is a very good bill. Governor Rauner vetoed this bill. Why he thought insurance companies should be able to keep money that was intended for widows and orphans, I'll never know. But thankfully, in a bipartisan fashion, we worked very hard. We got that bill overridden. It now goes to the Senate, where I think an override I'm sure it will happen, and that will become law. So very happy about that bill. Another bill that was very popular was Comptroller Mendoza's initiative for what's called a Debt Transparency Act. As everyone knows, in Illinois, we have fiscal problems, and one of those, the biggest problem, and I rail about this all the time, is the amount of debt that we've accumulated. Well, the problem with debt is that we don't even know how much we have, because all of these different government agencies are not required to report that debt timely. Now they will be required to, with this bill, report that every month, how many backlog of bills, unpaid bills that they have, so the comptroller knows how much debt there actually is and can publish it so all of us taxpayers can know what the real fiscal condition of our state is in. Once again, the governor vetoed it. Why? I'll never know. This is a bill that promotes debt transparency so we know the nature of our problems. Not surprisingly, it was overridden unanimously, which is a very, very rare thing to happen. Every Democrat, every Republican said, no, Governor, you're wrong. We're going to pass this bill. We're going to make it law. So that happened. A bill that was carried by one of my colleagues would prevent the state from contracting with corporations that have taken foreign inversions, meaning that they have moved the headquarters of their corporation onto foreign soils to avoid paying taxes in the United States of America and Illinois. So this would prevent the state of Illinois from contracting with them, and it would encourage our pension systems to divest their funds from companies that do that. Again, vetoed by the governor, overridden by the House. Another bill, very important bill, pay equity, right? So this is an issue of equal rights for women, pay equity for women, minorities, etc., who have historically been paid at a lesser rate, and this bill attempts to do this. The way it does it is it prohibits employers from asking a prospective employee about what they earned before. So you can talk about what you're willing to pay, you can negotiate that, but you can't ask them, because all that does is perpetuate the cycle of certain people should make less and we'll just keep paying them less. So a very good piece of legislation. Again, pay equity. Common sense, right? Things that we need to address, things that we need to fix so that there's equality and justice in our society. The governor decided that he would veto that. We overrode that. There was another bill that I think is very important. We passed a bill that would require that all social service providers are part of the Prompt Payment Act. What this does is this says that if the state is delinquent in paying them, that we will not only pay them, but we will pay them back with interest, 1% per month. It's a terrible thing. We should never get into this situation. But the reality of it is we are in a bad situation. And because of the fiscal irresponsibility of our governor, we have been unable to pay our bills timely, and that's gotten worse. But as we go forward, when there are certain human service providers that provide essential services like Teen Reach and teen after-school programs, we're telling them that they have to get in the end of the line, and many of these programs have closed, and many of these services are no longer able to be offered by these providers because we just put them under so much financial stress they went out of business. So if we're going to wait 18 months to pay them, we're going to pay them back plus interest. Again, the governor likes to cut those types of programs, so he vetoed that bill. We overrode that veto. Two more I'd like to talk about very quickly. So one is a bill to promote the hiring of substitute teachers. We've had a critical shortage of substitute teachers here in Illinois, and what this bill does is this allows to help us recruit more. It provides for a refund of the application that substitute teachers have to fill out and the fees that they have to pay if they teach 10 days in the year in which they receive their teaching certificate. So it's a way of saying to teachers or people who would be substitute teachers, we need you, we want you, we can't have classrooms going unfilled, so this is a way of addressing that. Again, the governor vetoed it. It was overridden. And then finally, the last one, a very interesting bill, a bill that would require the teaching of cursive handwriting in schools. This bill was vetoed by the governor. It was a bill sponsored by my colleague Chris Welch. Now schools will be required to teach cursive handwriting in school as part of their normal curriculum. So those are the things that went on in Springfield this week. It was a very busy week. And I think that there is something to be said about the governor's popularity when an enormous amount of bills that he vetoed were overridden. That rarely happens. So I think people are kind of, here in the legislature, Democrats and Republicans are saying that we're sort of tired of the way that the governor has not been conducting business. I would say we're tired of the way he's been doing it, but he's just refused to really do anything. There were two pieces of legislation that the veto was sustained, but those can be taken up in the next week when we come back, and I look forward to reporting back on those. The one that's probably most significant is a bill that would prohibit local right-to-work zones. So it says that one community cannot come in and decide to strip away collective bargaining rights from employees or from public sector unions in their area. This is a statewide law, and so the governor vetoed the prohibition on local right-to-work zones. That bill will be coming back in a couple of weeks, and it failed by one vote, so hopeful that bill will pass. Again, it's a great bill that will protect the ability of middle-class people to collectively bargain for better wages and a better workplace, and that's something I certainly believe in strongly. So that's it. That's sort of what went on here in Springfield. If you have any questions, by all means, add some comments, and if you want anything further, you can reach out to me at my local office, contact me here on Facebook, send me an email, reach out. Happy to talk to you anytime, and thank you for watching. We'll see you in a couple weeks when we come back. I'll give you another update on Veto Session.